This is Harriet Grayson, your host and producer of Community Culture Showcase. Welcome. So I hope COVID hasn't gotten you too depressed and hiding in the house, because we have lots of interesting things going on in our communities, and we want people to get out and try and have a good time, even under some interesting and troubling circumstances, because life just has to go on. So I have been for many years a volunteer with an organization called Southern Rhode Island Volunteers, just like the name says. And I've done a lot of good and interesting things with them. And as a result of being a volunteer, I have met the executive director, who I now know for more than 10 years. This is a woman who just does not know how to stop. She runs. Deb Tanner. So welcome, Deb Tanner. Welcome to our show. And
Thank
I know
you.
You've been running like a crazy woman, but that's why we love you.
Oh, thank you.
So tell us a little bit about what we do in Southern Rhode Island Volunteers, since I have long been a volunteer there.
Okay. So Southern Rhode Island Volunteers started 40 years ago. And since that time, we've had a signature program that assists seniors with aging in place. But we also have a volunteer program that helps people to find volunteer opportunities that they're interested in. And we have a disaster preparedness team that helps to staff shelters during usually weather-related events, or helps to do some light search and rescue, depending on what the local emergency managers need. So that team gets training and then goes when the EMAs call them out. The volunteer opportunities, anybody 13 years of age and older can give us a call and volunteer with us. We will interview you and discuss with you what your goals are in terms of volunteering, and then help you find an appropriate placement to reach those goals. Each and every volunteer who is 18 and older does have to go through a criminal history background check, because we do protect not only the volunteer, but the people that they're serving. And then our signature program, the Independent Aging Program, that one is near and dear to my heart. And that's the one where we are helping people to age with dignity and independence for as long as is possible for them. So we provide transportation and medical appointments, grocery stores, pharmacies, hair appointments, things that you would need with basic life. We won't take you to the restaurant to have, lunch with your friends. That's a luxury. That's something you have to figure out yourself.
And no running to the casinos.
Right? No rides to the casinos. And we will deliver groceries. We will take you to the grocery store if you want to do your own shopping, but we'll deliver groceries. We'll deliver food from the food pantries. And we also deliver Meals on Wheels. We manage the South Kingstown Narragansett delivery site for Meals on Wheels of Rhode Island, and then we place volunteers who deliver in Westerly, Richmond, Hopkinton, Charlestown, Exeter. So we have volunteers delivering in those areas as well. And all of it is meant to help people stay home, enjoy their homes, enjoy their independence, have choice as we all get older. And now at 64, senior myself, it's becoming more and more important to me every day.
So how did you get interested in working with seniors? Since you've been doing this a long time, so you were hardly a senior when you got involved with this kind of group in the first place.
Right. It'll be 21 years at the end of this week for me.
Okay.
And I'm the kind of personality, I like a challenge and I like to go do different things. So prior to that, my jobs were 4 to 5 years, and then I would move on to some new challenge. So it's always, when I think about how long I've been doing this, it surprises me, but it's always a challenge. At the time that this position became available, I was working for a community action agency doing development work, which is fundraising, producing events, that kind of thing. And this position became open, and someone asked me to come and interview for it. At the time, like you say, it was 20 years ago, so I was in my early 40s. It was a little intimidating. There were 5 people on the interview committee, so you weren't sure which person to talk to first. And it was probably one of the strangest interviews I've ever had because everybody had a different focus. And there were 5 of them, so the questions didn't kind of relate sometimes. And I walked away thinking, that's probably not going to happen. And 21 years later, here we are with multiple challenges behind me, but I like a challenge. We went through banking crises in 2008 and 9. So there was the challenge of keeping the doors open and continuing to provide services to seniors in need and our communities through our volunteers, despite not having enough financial resources.
Right.
Small nonprofits all around us were closing their doors. It was a very difficult time for many, but through perseverance, hard work from the volunteers and stuff, and faith and a little bit of help from God, here we are. And then there have been other times when we've ebbed and flowed with volunteers, challenges, like recently with our COVID pandemic. That stopped everything immediately in terms of people volunteering. The fear, rightfully so, because COVID-19, when it first came on the scene, was a death sentence for many.
It felt like one, for especially seniors it did.
Right. Many, many people became ill, like you might with a flu, but then others lost their lives to this virus. And there was no rhyme or reason as to who was going to become that ill, who was going to lose their life. So it became a very fearful time for many, many people in the community. Not only seniors, but families and young children and stuff, because it was the unknown. It's still a challenge, and it will be probably for the next couple of years. There are different variants, but we have tools in the toolbox now. We have knowledge. We learned, I know there's a big mask argument, but I will tell you, during the height of the pandemic, we had 60 volunteers delivering Meals on Wheels and groceries, doing the shopping, doing the delivery twice a week, and the only tools we had were masks and hand washing. And not one person on that team became ill with COVID-19.
Oh, yes.
So
yes,
I
yes.
am a believer based on experience that masks and hand washing works. And now we have vaccines, and some people have them, some people have chosen for whatever reason not to have them. But there are tools so that we can continue to deliver food, continue to support our seniors with transportation stuff, using those safety precautions and stuff that are there and available for us.
I do know also during the COVID, some of the volunteers actually just called up seniors on the phone, A, to make sure they were still alive, and 2, to give them some comfort that there's another human being on the phone.
Right.
Many of these people do not have immediate family anywhere near them anymore. So that was an important service, aided by the fact that you could have volunteers even calling from their own homes. They didn't have to
Right.
come to the office for them to do that kind of activity. And that turns out to be extremely important.
Yeah, exactly. Isolation became almost like a disease in itself, like, okay, you have heart disease, well, now you have isolation disease. The pandemic created a time where everyone was cut off from everyone. And if you're, 70 or older and you're all alone, and the only thing you have is a television to get different bits and pieces of information, and with whatever spin that particular newscast has on it, that, I can't imagine how that feels, because I didn't experience that. I only can tell you that I spent the last, and even for a few people still, but that 12 to 14 month period became a time when we were on the phone daily with just so many people, comforting them and letting them know that, there is going to be a light at the end of the tunnel. There is hope. You don't have to you know, you don't have to be just totally devastated by this. Yeah, it's difficult. Yes, it's scary. But a solution will come. You know, things always seem to work out. And but never in my 20-year history have I ever experienced that type of devastation for our seniors. Mm-hmm. They truly were struggling in the hundreds. Like in a normal year, we probably assist 400 to 500 seniors, depending on how many transports, how many people come on and off needing groceries, that kind of stuff in that program. During the period of like March 2020 to July of 2021.
Just recently.
We served almost 1,000 seniors.
Wow. Wow, what a big difference.
Yeah, that's a huge difference.
It is.
We still are serving greater numbers of individuals, but one of the interesting and I would say positive things about the COVID-19 pandemic is that it shone a light on and took people out of hiding that were in need. We continue, even though, you know, restrictions are going, you can go back into a grocery store and you can do your own shopping and stuff. For us, we have always had individual volunteers shopping for seniors at any of the grocery stores in the county that the senior chooses to get their food from, or at the food pantries doing pickup, whatever. But we do have a partnership with a small local store, Belmont Market, because they're individually owned, so they can do something that like a Stop and Shop or a big franchise can't do.
Right.
So we take grocery orders, and then we shop for the seniors from there 1 day a week. And there are 58 people over the age of 70 who struggled every day trying to get to the store and get their groceries. They either had transportation issues, or they have physical issues, they can't lift their bags, or they have health concerns that need to be addressed all the time. So 58 people came to the forefront of our vision who were in need of assistance with getting their groceries. One of those individuals is 103 years old.
Oh, wow.
You know, I mean, so the rewarding thing for me and to see the volunteers is that these people are making a difference in the lives of individuals that allow them to live with longevity and peace and having issues they need taken care of. So if somebody's doing the grocery shopping for them, that means that they can expend the energy maybe in tidying up the house, or running an errand to town hall, or going to one of their medical appointments with, you know, a daughter or son or something like that. And we're just giving them that helping hand so that they can continue to manage all of the things that we all take for granted. I mean, for instance, me, I love to garden. I'm out in my gardens all the time. My husband and I this weekend, we were moving bushes and moving my potting stand and stuff. And as we're doing it, we're using a tractor now with forklifts, you know? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think it was that long ago when we would have been able to lift this thing up and move it a few feet. And now we need, you know, a machine to help us do it. So it's those kinds of things that, you know, if you're a senior and you like to garden, you know, all of a sudden maybe you can't lift something, you know, or you need to go somewhere and you got a cataract and, you know, it's just not ready to be operated on yet, so your eyes are all foggy and you can't see to drive, you know.
And so better like, that you're not on the road.
Yeah, and those are not, I mean, we sit here and we laugh about it because it's like we know these things are happening to us, you know what I mean? But for those people who don't have support networks, who are alone, it's not funny. It's devastating.
And of course, what you're saying is that people who are helped and stayed in their home actually did better with the COVID than the poor people in the nursing homes and the assisted living places where the COVID spread as it was meant, an infectious disease, and killed a whole bunch of our seniors who were stuck in this environment. You were if they could have stayed at home and had some assistance, they might have been still around. Because they weren't exposed to all this disease.
And families, you have to make decisions. Like my mother-in-law during the pandemic broke her ankle. She's 91 years old. So we decided to bring her back home and, round the clock help her out and care for her for the couple of months it took, because the only other option was a nursing home during the pandemic. So that was a case of fear stepping into our family saying, well, we can't send her there. And then there are people who say, oh, it's not real. It's not, it's not that bad. I can tell you it is. I have a cousin who is mourning the loss of her husband, and she's a decade younger than I am. Her husband contracted COVID-19, and he succumbed to that virus. How many more years might they have had? They're in their early 50s, Nobody expects to die in your early 50s. We all expect to go sometime. But I think most of us, when we think about it, it's like, for me, when I was younger, it was after 70. Now that I'm 64, it's after 85, 90.
I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. Don't call me yet.
We all know it's going to come, and that's not what our program's meant to do. We're not going to save your life. We can't keep you from dying. I am not God. No one on my team is. But it's to provide you some peace of mind, some assistance with those things you need assistance with, so that as you are in that end season of life, it is a golden time. It is a time of peace and joy and happiness, and you doing some things that you want to enjoy and fulfilling that chapter of your life. Because life is not a dress rehearsal. It's a one-time show. Act one, beginning to end, done. So you got to take advantage of every opportunity to find those moments that mean something to you.
The other important thing is that Southern Rhode Island Volunteers has a very, very small paid staff. I mean, you are actually functioning and helping 1,000 beneficiaries with almost exclusively volunteers. I mean, you can't get any more cost efficient than the way that you operate this organization, and it is all over the county. It's all over South County. There you are, helping people out, and I know you screen the volunteers to make sure that they're good citizens themselves and that they do the right thing, and you train them to do certain things. And the volunteers can do a bunch of things. You can have volunteers who like to be on the telephone, so they speak with people. There are people who like to get in their car and take people to the grocery store. There are people who like to shop. And you address that by interviewing these people and getting what they want out of it.
Because some people don't particularly care for other people. They like animals. So they might go to a local animal shelter, work with the dogs, pet the kitties, walk the dogs, that kind of thing. They might work in a therapeutic riding academy where they're helping to care for the horses, or helping to administer the therapeutic lesson for the students or adults in need. People might do something in the arts or in culture, in a museum. They might be a docent. We've had docents go to Smith Castle and Gilbert Stuart Birthplace and South County Museum and Granite Theater, and like so many places across our county. I don't think people truly recognize the wealth of historical museums, the art, the culture in Southern Rhode Island. It's like there is so much community theater, so many places to see beautiful art, so many historical museums that are working museums. There's just, you could take a vacation for a couple of weeks in Southern Rhode Island and go see all of the beautiful and interesting and educational and wonderful things we have. Look at the architecture. We have we are blessed with where we live.
Right.
We live in a gorgeous coastal community. If you love the beach, great. If you don't like the beach so much, there's great walking trails. You know, there's Yagoo Ski Valley if you want to ski in the winter. There's just so much to do. There's indoor, there's bowling, there's baseball fields, there's tennis courts, and now there's this pickleball thing that everybody's taking up. You know what I mean? So there's a ton. And then you get to the restaurants and the other things that we have, and there's so much to do. And even right now, while everybody's short-staffed, there's still a lot going on. So it's pretty cool that volunteers get to support the nonprofit sector of those things, which then in turn also makes it a great community to live and work and grow in, and support the local business as well. And vice versa, local small business supports the nonprofits across our county and our area. And so we all work hand in hand to make it a great place to live. Volunteers are looking for something to do to make that great place,
Right.
to give back to the community. So whether you want to be working with kids in the schools, reading, helping in educational things, doing English as a second language, working in a historical museum, or if you want to be working with the elders, in a nursing home setting, there are programs that go on, or individually you want to visit with them. And even right now with COVID still being a concern, you can visit by phone. You don't have to visit in person. Years ago, when I was a kid, I remember people used to call all the time each other and chat, or people sent cards to each other. There's nothing wrong with doing those things again.
Right.
You know what I mean? It still shows someone that you care. You can work in a hospital setting. You can be a volunteer in a hospital and transport people. All of that is kind of ebbing and flowing at the moment, and that's the thing. I would say the one thing that people need to keep in mind is you need to be patient, and you need to be tolerant, and you need to be flexible, because we are not out of change yet. COVID-19 is the current virus that has made us have to adjust our lives. Next couple of years, we might have to make little adjustments here and there. Volunteering is a great way to help alleviate some of the stress of those changes, because we are, animals of habit. We don't really like change, but it's inevitable, and it's the one constant in life. Everything does change. So you can come volunteer today. You can volunteer once a week. You can volunteer once a month. You can volunteer once a year. We have some volunteers who do summer events at the Seafood Festival and the Washington County Fair. We did them this year. We had masks, gloves, everything available. Happy to say nobody got sick.
Right.
When
right.
you're out and about in public and and you operate with common courtesy and common sense, life doesn't have to come to a standstill. You can still volunteer, you can still engage. There's still opportunities to serve if you're looking to serve.
Right.
If you're not in a position to serve because you work, there's an opportunity to support those who do through donations to nonprofits. People can do that any way they want. They can make donations directly to nonprofits. You can go online. There's no reason not to be involved in your community if you want to be.
Right.
It's a choice.
And of course, your small operation still needs some do-re-mi.
Yes.
And so we have done a number of events
over the years.
And there's been some repeat events.
Yeah.
But this year we're going back. Well, we started, and now we're going to continue doing some online auctions.
Yeah.
So talk about a little bit about those auctions and how that evolved, and what your expectation is.
So right now we're hosting our Autumn Breeze raffle number 2. Number 1 happened during the height of the pandemic. So number 2 It's a mailer that's going out right now, but people can also find it on our Facebook page.
What's the Facebook page?
Southern Rhode Island Volunteers. So
Just
if you go to
stick it in the
Facebook,
search and it'll
Yep.
come up.
Yep.
All right.
They can also go to our website. Some info's there. It's not all up there yet because we're doing little bits and pieces. That's www.southernrivol.org.
Okay, so it's not exactly what you would expect. It's southernrivol.org.
Yes, short for the volunteers. Yep.
Right.
So there's going to be 9 baskets, and you can purchase individual tickets or a string of tickets for a certain price, and then you get to pick what things would you like to take a chance on winning. So there's 9 different baskets. One of them is total cash. They're all worth about $100, maybe a little bit more. And all of the proceeds from that raffle will go toward our senior independent services programs. Specifically going to go toward delivering food and making sure people have food so that they're maintaining their nutritional dietary needs and whatnot. So we do that for anybody in need. And actually in this past year, one of the things that came up, and we were fortunate enough, we received some COVID-19 grant funds. We ended up buying food for the first time in my history. We've not ever had to like purchase the food for people. We usually are the delivery service. We're getting it and making sure it gets into their hands and stuff. But this year caused some situations where we actually had to purchase some food for some people. I personally, before we got any funds, there was a veteran that had been hospitalized in Westerly he had COVID-19, an older gentleman, and he was discharged from the hospital to an apartment with no food on a Friday morning. So I went to the grocery store, and I bought the food. And that's what our volunteers are like that. So I didn't do anything over and above what somebody else might have done. You know what I mean? So,
But you saw the need and it had to be addressed quickly.
Right.
And you didn't have to worry about a board meeting or anything like that.
No.
1, 2, 3, get it done. Somebody's in need. Let's
Yep.
address that need. Let's help that person. And
Correct.
the reward is they're incredibly appreciative.
Yes. Like he came to the door and he looked at me and he said, there were 3 bags of groceries. It wasn't a lot. And he looked at me and he said, "This is all for me?" It was like, yeah. Those are the things that for our you could talk to any volunteer. That's what you get back. That's the priceless part. Like, you mattered in someone else's life.
Right.
You made a difference. If even only one time, if, just for a moment, just for a season of your life, you can't put a monetary number on that.
Right.
That's a life well lived. Like you made a difference. You mattered. You didn't just walk through life without giving back anything and just taking. You gave back, and that feels pretty good.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Can you describe some of the baskets, just like a kind of like a little overview,
sure.
what we can expect?
Sure. So the first 3 include, one is a basket from Belmont Market, and I will tell you that they have a gal named Donna who makes all their gift baskets. If nobody's ever seen them, they're amazing. And I told her to surprise us because I've never seen one I didn't like. They're gorgeous, and it'll have different food items in there. There might be fresh foods or stable foods to create like a particular dinner. Maybe it'd be a Mexican or Italian theme. Maybe it'd be around having popcorn and movies and that kind of thing. Maybe it's around fresh foods, fresh vegetables, Rhode Island-based foods like Johnny Cake mix or clam cake mix, autocraft coffee syrup. Of course, nowhere else in the world besides Rhode Island knows what coffee flavored syrup is, but we love it.
I won that basket last time.
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yes,
really
absolutely delicious.
Yeah,
yes.
They put great things in there, and then we also have a basket called the Waves of Westerly, which you have very graciously donated. And that has a bunch of wonderful gift certificates for people to sample all those small businesses that we're talking about that support nonprofits. And we'll have a couple little goodies that are Westerly-based crafts or something that will just kind of offset that and make it very special. And then I created the other one for the first round, which is a fall-themed basket. It has one of those cabbage plants. I love those because they last through the entire holiday season and then into the winter. So you have this nice green and purple cabbage you can put on your porch or your front step or whatever. So it's got that, and it's got some kitchen towels and some pumpkins and some scarecrows, and it's got a great little wooden basket you could put some fruit and veggies in, and just tons of fun. For if fall is your season, there's everything in there to take you from October 1st all the way through till you start decorating for winter or Christmas or whatever you do. We also have a car care basket.
This is all on the first
Nope,
one?
this
No.
is the...
So the first round begins is it the 16th on Friday?
October 5th, it's 15th or 16th?
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Friday. It's a Friday. It's going to be live on Facebook.
It is. We will draw it live on Facebook, and then each of the 3 will be drawn live on Facebook. And then the other 6 include like a car care basket, which has a oil change donated by Northup Service Center in Wakefield. It has a hand car wash by the South County Hand Car Wash Detailing Organization. It's got a basket and a bunch of little car care things in it and stuff you could wash the car yourself. But it also has, in the basket, it's got a blanket because men and women drive cars, and men have different priorities, and women have different priorities usually. And I know I carry a blanket in my car, so I'm looking at that going, "Ooh, that's really great."
I have a blanket in my car.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I don't know a single guy who would say, "Yeah, I got a blanket in my car or truck." You know what I mean? But it's like, so there's things in there that men and women will like. We also have Louise, one of our board members, she put together a Mexican-themed basket. You've got to be 21 to win that one because it's got a nice bottle of tequila with it.
Oh, yes.
To go with the dinner, and then it'll have a gift card for the meat. We also have a wine basket with some fine wines coming from Charlestown Wine and Spirits. Jane is the best at choosing wines, and then we'll also be getting some cheeses and crackers and stuff from them that will complement those wines. And it's got a couple of wine glasses and a decanter to hold the wine. And a nice board for the cheese that afterwards you could use to cut bread or something too.
Sure.
That would be a lovely evening for 2, or grab yourself a couple more wine glasses and invite a couple of friends. And then we also have the one at the end that's really popular is all cash. So that'll be a tree, which is a branch,
Right.
with $100 in different bills on it. And everybody's always really excited about that. And
You can always use a little bit of money for the holiday season.
Yes, and last year's winner even wanted the tree branch to go with it. And then we have one of our youngest members on our committee, Lainey, is putting together a great winter wonderland basket for kids. It'll have a little sled. It'll have a gift card to skiing or tubing at Yagoo, and all the gear that you need to be warm, like hats, gloves, that kind of stuff, maybe some hot chocolate, maybe some movies if it's a cold winter's night. So she's putting her magic together for that basket. Just, some great things that people are putting together.
That's wonderful, and it gives people an opportunity to give some money to the organization, which, again, it's not an organization that is supported by millions and millions of dollars. Nope. It's a local organization with people who work there from the community, and most of the work is actually done by volunteers.
Correct.
But you still need money to do all kinds of stuff.
Pay for some overhead, yeah.
Exactly.
And there's there are no fees. We do not have an income. We do not charge our seniors for the services. We don't charge volunteers for services or to help them find volunteering. So there's no fees. involved with what we're doing. Just donations, that's revenue only. That means that we only exist because of the generosity of people, both with their time and their money. We do write grants, and we've been very fortunate to receive a number of grants from a number of supporters, great organizations and foundations that believe in the work that we're doing. So we're very grateful for that. And that's the thing, like you said, there are 3 of us, and I have to write those grants. I have to find that money every year to make sure that the services continue to happen. And that's the goal. The goal is not to go chasing down money and bring the money in the door. The goal is to make sure that we're helping hundreds of seniors to stay in South County, in that place that, I grew up in Charlestown. I've traveled a lot in our country. There are beautiful places, but home is South County. So we want to provide that opportunity for seniors and families and to stay there.
Right. And you have the additional thing of getting volunteers for other kinds of organizations.
Correct.
In our larger community, to try to satisfy the volunteers' needs, which could be multiple.
It's very varied what the community needs. And at the moment, COVID-19 has definitely created some challenges for volunteering within nonprofits. There are some limitations now. Probably will be for a little while. As we all get,
could be a couple of years.
Yeah, and as we all get used to the new normals of what we're all doing and what we can do and what we can't do, again, to protect our community.
Right. Right.
It's
Absolutely.
To protect everybody around us.
And I talk about some of the other volunteer activities that you have been part of. You mentioned just briefly the Seafood Festival. Talk a little bit about that and how volunteers make those kinds of things run, which please the public and at the same time support quite a number of nonprofits, including fire departments and a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, there's some of the things that we've supported are breakfasts, dinners at local fire departments. We'll put out information, VFW halls, these folks are doing this thing. We have supported some Lions Club events. Like there was one thing we did for Guinness World Book of Records, making sand angels, which was really cool. That was fun. Each year we provide some people to help with traffic for an annual duffel bag bash, which supports Adoption RI. Teenagers in Rhode Island that are in foster care very often are moved each night from place to place. And when they come into the system, a lot of times all they have is a trash bag with a few belongings. So this event, you bring a suitcase or a duffel bag and a $25 gift card to Kohl's, Walmart, someplace where kids can get some clothing or personal care items and stuff. That's the admission to that event. So it's directly supporting the teens who are in foster care. So we collaborate with them and we provide volunteers to help direct the traffic in and out and get them in for that event. We work with the Charlestown Chamber of Commerce, which Heather and her group are amazing. The Seafood Festival is a monstrous affair. And it's all volunteers. She's got volunteers running that thing. And, and there's some service people that she has to contract with to be there too. But her core group is a group of volunteers. And our job is to staff the exit gate to make sure that people have those wristbands if they want to come back the next day. And to just let them know, like if they happen to have purchased a beer while there, they can't leave the grounds with that. So, and just make sure people are having a good time and are being safe and stuff. So we work with her on that event each year. That is an amazing event in the town of Charlestown. We also
Which attracts people from all over New England, New
yes.
York, New Jersey. People come from all over the place to enjoy them. There's live music, there's fireworks. It's a really very big deal. And I know I've been involved with that for years. It's
a pretty cool event. And then the Washington County Fair, which we started working with the Pomona Grange back in 2002. We provide volunteers to the Pomona Kitchen at the Washington County Fair. I don't think a lot of people realize that fairgrounds, all those food booths, they're nonprofits and they're volunteers, and the people that are on the grounds with the games for the kids and taking care of everything and managing the animal shows and all the different aspects, keeping the grounds clean, providing, traffic directions. Those people are volunteers.
Right.
Washington County Fair happens with hundreds and hundreds of volunteers, or it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And the funds that the Granges bring in, like the Pomona Grange and the other Granges, those organizations put those dollars back into the community by way of helping nonprofits to deliver services to people in need. Grange members are amazing volunteers. They set the tone.
Right.
Them, Lions Club members, Rotarians, it's like these are people who give back to their communities. You don't have to look very far to find volunteers in your community.
Right. Exactly. And of course, we have worked, SRIV has worked in the kitchen. I have been at the window collecting money. That's my specialty, collecting money.
taking the orders for the food and collecting the money.
That's
Not
right.
your money, yes, but
yes.
you do a good job.
Yes. And there are people who are cooks, and it's always in the summer, so it's
warm.
Hot. But we're there for hours because the Grange does a great job for the community. And the Grange, just as Deb says, depends on people like myself and my husband who are there as volunteers. And we spend some hours there doing it. And in fact, we were so popular, the last day we literally ran out of food.
We did. We did.
We literally ran out of food. We
did.
were offering people potato chips because we had nothing left.
The last hour of the fair this year, like everybody, there were record crowds that came to the fair, and the last hour of the fair this year was like, there was no food to be found. Potato chips, like you said. Potato chips, and we did have a few hot dogs left. That was about it.
That was it.
A couple of bottles of Diet Coke.
Oh, yeah. The least popular, the Coke was gone, the water was gone, the least popular sodas were available, and iced coffee. But that was a success.
But it was fun.
Oh, absolutely.
It was fun, and it was safe, It was, and I'm sure we all had a little trepidation about, are we going to be safe? But it was safe. It was fun.
Yes.
We were community. We were with community. We were making a difference.
And I had, and the window booth had I had gloves. I had the latex gloves.
Yeah.
And then periodically we put some sanitizer on.
Yeah.
And many people came to the window and they were wearing masks. Yep, exactly.
And I chose to wear a mask. I mean, I'm 64. I'm diabetic. I'm not going to be silly with my health, but that's an individual choice. It was there if you wanted it.
Right. But the big event that you have, which we had this year under strange circumstances, but was able to make it work, is the bowling event. Why don't you talk a little bit about that incredible bowling event?
The bowling event is our annual fundraiser. I am not one of those nonprofit leaders who thinks we should do lots of physical events. Physical events are physically intensive. And you've got to stay focused on your mission and doing the work of what you're supposed to do. It's a little easier if you're a larger organization because you have a deeper well to pull from. But for little nonprofits, the well's not that deep to manage the day-to-day needs and to also do fundraising efforts. So we do a bowling event which has just become absolutely amazing. It is sponsored by many local businesses.
Right.
And it's like, these are people that I've gone to and have now been sponsoring for years. Northup Service Center and Stedman and Company they are major sponsors of that event. They are local small businesses. They are amazing community stewards. as is so many small nonprofit, small business owners who I feel fortunate enough to call friends who come back year after year, and we couldn't do it without them. They are a major driving force behind this event. So they sponsor a lane, and then they have a team of 5 bowlers who come and bowl, and these amazing individuals then do raise some funds. And then we have some fundraising, we have some drawings for them where some other sponsors have given gifts for the bowlers for giving their time. And then we have a raffle event there with 12 of these amazing baskets that we all seem to have become very good at making. And it's fun, and they always have, different themes and stuff, and and everybody that's participating gets to take a chance on those, as do the people coming in and out of Old Mountain Lanes, which is where this event is held. And this year we had to get creative because of COVID-19. So we split everybody in half so that every other lane was empty, because it happened back in March.
Right.
And we were just starting to come toward the end of the really difficult period of COVID, and looking at vaccinations and stuff. And, people had started being vaccinated, I think it was in November or so. And, so we were like, okay, we can do this, but we need to be a little cautious. So we just took, and instead of having 150 people there at one time, we split everybody in half. So there were like 70, 75 people who bowled in the morning and 70, 75 people who bowled in the afternoon. Well, you never know what's going to happen. Who'd have thunk it? Everybody loved it. And so we're doing 2 different sessions again I think it's April 3rd is our date for next year.
Right.
And we already have people who are interested in the morning or the afternoon session. And that allows us to invite more businesses and more individuals to bowl. So, but it is an event that raises a really good donation.
Significant amount.
Yeah,
yes,
for our seniors.
Beside the sponsors, there's the auction, there's the registration fee for people who want to bowl.
Yeah, who want on a team.
Yeah,
yes.
who want to be on a team.
Yeah.
And that all contributes to it.
Correct.
And it used to be great because it was done in March.
Yeah.
But of course now with some of the crazy stuff with COVID, it turns out to be, okay, it looks like we'll be able to do this again, and having every other lane, turns out people like that even better, because some people do want to bowl at 9 o'clock, and some people would rather bowl at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
And we can get more sponsors.
Yes. So those people who are not morning people, who need to sleep in and then have the coffee at 10 o'clock, they're not stressed. They're having the coffee at 10 o'clock and they're coming later. And those people who want to come and get it done, because I got things to do later this afternoon, they bowl in the morning, and then they're gone by noon, and they've still got their afternoon. So it has morphed into something that's a little bit different based on what the participants would like to have happen. And the thing for me is, it is such a joy to see how much fun they're all having and how much they're giving back at the same time, and they recognize that. And then to have some of them winning the baskets is really cool for me, and the gifts for them when they raise the pledges and stuff. And just, I cannot thank the people who have participated with this event enough. These are people who know me, my daughter, my sons, my husband, a couple of other people on our team, and they're there year after year, and we can't say thank you enough. And even like our board chair, he stepped up this year, and 5 or 6 of the businesses he knows did as well. And it's a community
dedicated
event.
To a woman. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? Because she's an interesting character. And that's part of SRIV's sort of history.
Yes.
And what makes it such a great local organization. So tell us a little bit about this interesting woman.
We've held this event for a number of years, but about 6 years ago, we decided to make it a memorial event in honor of Edna Bernier. Edna was a volunteer with us, and she used to help set up meals for seniors. And she worked in the center in South Kingstown in the kitchen years ago as a volunteer helping to serve meals to people. And she did, a few other things and stuff that she was interested in as a volunteer. And she she also was a bowler. Okay, so she used to come and bowl every year, and she would raise hundreds and hundreds of dollars all by herself. I don't think anybody could say no to the 90-something-year-old when she asked. She bowled until, I believe she was 97 the last year she bowled with us. So our event is in Edna Bernier's honor. This was a community hero.
And her family supports it. I know they come to the event.
Yes, they do. The Bernier family comes. Adam Bernier and his business supported it, and her family members support it. And Rachel Northup was her daughter. They support it. Yeah, it's
for
really
a great
cool.
community person
Yes.
to benefit all the other people in the community. So
yes.
it's a win-win.
And her family just carries on her legacy so wonderfully. It's just, it's truly an honor to be able to watch them, and it's humbling to see what they do.
So tell us again, because we're going to wrap it up, what's the best way to contact people, to contact you or the organization to become a volunteer, one, and number two, to participate in the auction with all these great gifts?
Okay, everybody communicates differently. So to be a volunteer, you can go to the website at www.southernrivol.org, and you can fill out a registration form there. Or you can call us at 401-552-7661. We'd be happy to walk you through the process. And the telephone number is probably the best way for the raffle at this point as well.
Okay.
But you can find information on the website as we go over the next week or so on the raffle as well.
And tune in on Facebook, on your Facebook page.
On Fridays in October.
On Fridays in October, like in the middle of October for the next 3 weeks.
October 15th, 22nd, and 29th, I believe it is.
And you can see a live auction.
You can see us.
Yes, and I might be there doing my thing.
Hopefully
usual.
nobody will trip.
I'm the bowling MC.
Yes.
Keep people motivated.
Yes,
to
because
more.
you're so good at it. We all have such a good time with you. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely. So this is a must to go to support our community. And I can't say enough great things about the organization. I wouldn't be part of it for all these years had it not been fun and worthwhile. And you get appreciated as a volunteer by you and your small staff and just by other volunteers. So it's great to see you again.
You too.
And I hope that people will listen to the message and call you up, go on the website, absolutely go on the Facebook. And this is there's the information again. Don't forget, jot it down and put it in your little cell phone, because you might want to have that phone not only for the auction, but also perhaps to volunteer. Or if you know someone who needs some help, give us a call, and then maybe somebody can reach out. So I want to thank you for enjoying this stuff with us. I've had a hoot of a time. This is Harriet Grayson. I am your host and producer of Community Culture Showcase. It's been a pleasure to see you all. I can't see you, but you can see me. And I hope you'll come back more, and we'll have another fun event coming up soon. Thank you.